restricted distance from school-owned property, and the city staff handled it at that time and had them remove the signage.
But it's pretty much case by case. And as long as the one that's made an error, then we'll take it. I mean, is there something specific or that she wanted to cover?
The only thing that was requested by her was to change where it says 300 feet. We had approached it at 2,000 feet at Goldman's Sachs. She wants to change that to 1,000 just to be more in line with state law.
Talking about perfect timing. This is, we're talking about number 2 on the workshop.
Would you like to explain the smoke shop ordinance, state law reason?
Okay, so the reason I brought it up is because one of the things that happened recently is we found out, or I found out, that the sign ordinance for state law is 1,000 feet. So I thought that if we align our ordinance with the state law sign ordinance, it makes sense. And there's a rationale behind 1,000 foot versus only number like 2,000 out of here. That was just my thoughts.
So we're just seeking guidance from council if you want us to come back with a modification of 1,000 feet from 300 feet.
I thought we were pretty hard on the 300 feet because we were really concerned about the location in relationship to the high school and other establishments.
Well, the 300 feet from the high school is nothing. And it depends, I think 1,000 feet makes more sense than 300 personally. Because I am concerned about bringing the vape shops and things like that close to schools because of how bad it is.
It's not the house.
It's better than me, yeah.
Well, I guess the question is, do we have to put that back on and match it up? Is that the question? Or can we make it mirror the signage and the location distance of 1,000? Or is it one's different from the other?
One's
Signage
different.
versus property.
One pertains to signage, the other pertains to actual proximity of the shop.
And so what is it that you're wanting to do?
So
Regulate both or just?
no, I don't want to change the signage ordinance, that's established by the state, but I think that if we align our ordinance with location to match the footage that the state ordinance is for signage, it makes sense.
Okay.
That's just my own thought.
Essentially, if you were to make this change in the ordinance, you wouldn't be relying on staff to approve a permit that is in line with state law. As long as it's in line with our ordinance, it would then be in line with state law as well. But there's no legal requirement for us to change the ordinance one way or the other.
I'd probably be in favor for 1,000 feet. I think it'd be worth more discussion.
Could we maybe, because you know how you have a little circle thing with the 2,000 feet? Could we do this circle thing with 1,000 feet and see if we even allow, what it would allow, what it would allow? You know, kind of.
She did.
Dorothy did that.
Dorothy did that.
So,
I mean, we've restricted them. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not following why this change is needed.
because we were really split, because at one point we passed the 2,000, and the next meeting, it failed, and so I think it's worth going back and looking at it, because we were so divided. For it to pass once and fail again, I don't think we're all in a good consensus.
And I don't know that there will be consensus. If you're looking for 100%, I don't know if you will.
Well, I'm not looking for 100%, but I just think it's worth looking at again, and my rationale has to do with if we align 1,000 feet, matches state law rules for signage. If those are the rules for signage, then it makes logical sense to me that they'd be the rules, that we could apply that rule for footage from something. Because if they can't have a big old sign, why should they be out there?
They can have a sign that says, for example, vape shop, if that's what it was called. They could have a sign that says vape shop. They very simply just cannot have cartoon characters or vapes on the sign. Verbiage wise, it can say that.
But the cartoon characters or whatever it has on the sign has to do with attracting children. And 1,000 feet from children, so why not 1,000 feet from children at a high school that are vaping all the time, getting themselves in all kinds of trouble for it?
Because the kids want to vape or smoke, they're gonna get it.
Correct, but they don't
And
have.
this is just a government overreach into private business and trying to parent people.
I don't think it's overreaching if it's aligning with state law. Now, I have to agree to
It's not aligning with state law, it's two different laws. We're talking
I
about
understand.
signage or location.
Correct, I understand that. But there's a rationale between the signage state law. And I believe that it makes sense to have that same rationale for location.
The rationale is about signage. And if the state legislature had it about signage and not location, why are we changing that?
Because I don't want it that close to the kids.
There is an option if this is something that you're interested in. There's an option to change the ordinance where it currently says 300 feet between a whole list of places. You could change it to 1,000 feet of a school and keep everything else at 300 feet if that's an option that you want to take.
What other type of businesses would this pertain to? Is it just vape shops or is there other, I'm sure there's other types of businesses.
On this specific ordinance, it is smoking tobacco shops.
But that is a farther reach than just vape shops.
It could be
Smoking
CBD shops. Yes, there's a few things that fit into that category, but for the most part, they have to sell a certain percentage of tobacco products to be considered a.
That's in the ordinance, so we're good with that.
Is there anything else?
Without an unofficial vote, could I see just a hand in the air?
Well,
on
I
who
guess
would like this?
would we need, well, I guess we've already verified this through our attorney, and,
We've had lots of vape shop discussions with her last year.
and she's on board with which one? 1,000 foot changing that, or where she's.
She has no opinion on it.
I guess the question just is, what do we want for our kids? That's my question.
Well, I know what I'll do with my child, I'll raise them the right way. I mean, and it's not my job to tell someone else what to do with their kids. Or their business, and we passed 300 foot, and we're following state law. I don't know why we keep on spending time with this.
Because I think it's important, that's all. And I don't feel that if we were so divided, with half of it to pass and then it to fail again. So I just felt like it was worth the discussion.
Well, the city manager is asking, who would like to discuss this further?
The only thing is the clarification. That's the only reason, because if we're out of compliance with state law,
We're not out of compliance with state law. It just restricts the type of signage that they're able to use between that 300 foot and 999 foot buffer.
so if there's no cartoon creative characters, then they're within the 300 feet rule, or
They
is
would
it
have to
1,000?
be, they would have to be outside of 300 feet. We would not allow a smoker tobacco shop inside 300 feet. It just,
Any signage.
we're talking about location.
Okay,
And
property.
then from 301 feet to 999 feet, they can't use a cartoon character. And as soon as they get 1,000 feet, they can use a cartoon character if they wanted to.
But they can have the vape shop at 300 feet
Correct.
or less.
No, not or less.
No, it has to be at least.
Outside of 300 feet.
It has to be outside of 300 feet. Okay, so 300 to.
999 is very
Eternity is where they can have their vape shop.
correct. Their signage would be restricted between 301 and 999.
Okay, let's get down some directions.
I,
Yay for the 1,000 feet. Nay,
I'm gonna,
why don't we just put it back on? We can vote on it and be done with it after that.
yeah,
I would agree with that.
let's put it back on. Get to the next thing.
Thank you.
Number 3, discussion regarding parks and recreation sports facilities.
Mayor and council, this is on the agenda this evening because there were some questions during budget workshops about availability of certain athletic fields, kind of on a rotation. So I've invited Steve Bolton, who's overseeing parks facilities. Stephen, if you'd like to come up, if council has questions for him specific to use of football fields.
Mayor, council.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Push the button. Let your answer.
Okay, can you hear me now? Mayor, council.
Yes, sir.
So what kind of questions do we have?
I have no idea because this, workshop item gives me zero information. So I have no idea what.
During workshop, you had requested that we bring park staff in to talk about sometimes the ball fields are locked up and inaccessible.
And that doesn't tell me anything on this workshop item. It tells me staff doesn't receive information from council to discuss non-best support facility. That's it. So what are we?
Right, it was very generic because in workshop, we understood that you had questions about that.
Yeah, so why are we locking up all fields?
Right now, we got a lot of rotation going on in certain areas. Adult softball just ended last week, so those 580 complex fields are open to the public right now. Turner Field has Geico Field, which is in the rear, that is open to the public right now for use. The rest of the fields are locked up due to maintenance or they're being utilized by our local citizens.
Okay, no, no.
So with the 580 fields, the baseball fields, do people have to pay to use those if they're not locked up? Because I had a soccer team that wanted to do practice on the 580 soccer fields, and they said they were going to be charged.
No, there's no charging right now. We're just organizing so that multiple teams are at the same field at the same time, so that whenever they call Bailey, myself, or Nick Higley, we can say, hey, this field is open or it's not open. And this time of year, we're doing a lot of maintenance. LCYL is over. Summer's at its peak. We're watering a lot. We're fertilizing a lot. We're doing a lot of maintenance to get this ready for the following season. If we don't lock these up and we don't keep people off them, we can't keep the money that we spent there. So we have been rotating. And it's been working out.
The fee schedule that council has adopted does say that if a field is not subject to an existing agreement with a youth organization and they're wanting to use a separate field that's not covered in that agreement, there is a rental fee for that.
And that's the same thing for the baseball fields as for the soccer.
Correct. If it's not subject to an existing agreement with an organization, then there is a rental fee for that field.
So how do y'all know who's showing up to use it if they're paying the fee?
That's why we ask people to call to speak to us about field usage and rental. That way we can make sure there's not two teams showing up at the same time to have a competing practice at the same time. That way we can ensure that field availability for those organizations.
I guess my concern was Sunday afternoon when I wanted to run back throw a ball and hit balls with my kids, and that didn't work. So, but other parents, and the fields are locked. Can't get out there. This was the complaint that was brought to me.
And
I can't take my kids out there and just go practice on Sunday afternoon because everything's locked up.
I think you specifically talked about Turnfield, didn't you?
Yeah, it was specifically Turnfield. It was youth baseball that was brought to me.
in Geico Field, you can't lock it. There's no gates.
No, it was.
So there's always a field available for anybody
Well,
24.
these are some of the older kids, and the Geico field's not big enough. They need to, they need to be able to field balls at a proper distance,
Okay.
And
Understood.
it was the big field, their current field.
And we've been trying to rotate when we're done with maintenance and we don't have anybody on. Sometimes we do a lot for the weekends, especially if we don't have to irrigate heavily. But this time of year, 4 days a week.
And when is the next season?
Late February.
I know I went out there a couple of times after the concern was expressed, and I've gone past Turner and I've gone past 580, and I have seen open fields, not locked, several times. So they are accessible. That
But anybody can call if it's a team or mom and dad want to play just with the family.
Who do they call on Sunday?
Do we have an on-call line?
It's one of those, hey, let's go. You know,
Understood.
I get it, y'all wanna get home too. Me too.
Do we wanna pay staff to be available 24/7 to go on the field on Saturday or Sunday? And there's open fields around town?
No, the point was they could take taxes and they just want to go play on the ball field. That's all.
But they had a ball field to go play on, right? You just didn't have a big one.
Correct. But when you're trying to help kids to get better, you want to put them on a field that is more conducive to their learning experience, in which they can receive ground balls at a rate that is more correct with what they might see in the game.
Absolutely, if you're training a child to be at the top form, right? If you're trying to get them there, then maybe you can make arrangements to use the field you need.
Don't know exactly. Sometimes it's raining. Okay.
Mr. Prentice, if I may, my kids play and we use those fields quite a bit. I think probably what you're getting at, you know, we field a lot of complaints being in where we're at, in our position. I don't think that every complaint probably warrants
I totally agree.
an item on the workshop.
No,
You know, I think a simple phone call to Mr. Knowlton probably could have solved it, you know, that weekend that person was complaining could have been a weekend where they were fertilizing or doing some kind of maintenance to the field, so.
I totally agree, and I brought it up in a previous session for the simple fact that it was brought to me. But I can tell you that person is not showing up for me. So,
Is that field, I know this is separate, the school field on Sixth Street, is that one locked as well?
that's LSD, that's totally different.
But, I mean,
It is a lot.
Good luck, just need to lock.
It is, I'll get to go through the ADA
So-
secretary to get
Yeah,
access and key.
that's pretty good.
and then you're probably gonna have to mow it before you use it.
You know, pretty well.
Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion regarding any item on the regular session for August 10th, 2026. No action to be taken during workshop. Okay.
I just have a comment under item 5. Did you read item 5?
No, I have not. Just one. Discussion regarding any item not included on regular session for August 10th, 2026 for consideration on future agenda. No action to be taken by the city council.
Mayor and council, I just wanted to let you guys know, you'll recall earlier this year, we were working with Lampasas Trucking and Ready Mix to bring their economic development agreement into compliance. They have submitted the required paperwork that indicates that they have employed the number of people required by the economic development agreement. And as part of their agreement, when they have met certain terms for 60 consecutive months, they are eligible for an early purchase option on that property. Last week, they did pay the note on that in full. So it won't require any action on behalf of the council or EDC. That's already been done through the economic development and Chapter 380 agreements. So staff will be preparing the deed to transfer that property to Lampasas Trucking and Ready Mix in recognition of them successfully completing their economic development agreement.
Any other discussion? Okay, need a motion to adjourn workshop?
So moved.
All in favor? All rise.
Charlie.
Public Father, we just thank you for this day. Thank the people that are choosing to be here tonight. We ask you to watch over us and guide us in all things. Let our decisions be for the betterment of our community and some way glorify you always. We ask you please forgive us for our sins. Thank you for your grace, your love, your mercy. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So be the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to these Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We have, Mr. Thomas Kelly, you here? There you are. You'll stand up here, wanna? Okay.
Mr. Kelly is receiving a certificate from the Northwest Lineman College for a line worker certification program. Dated April 2026, so we're a little bit behind in this recognition, but congratulations to you, Thomas, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry.
Ms. Harrison, does that get him a raise or anything, that proclamation? All right, good job.
Say cheese.
Say cheese.
There's other boys and people here.
Squish your head.
All right, public hearing, citizens comment. Any citizen who desires to address the city council on a matter not included on the agenda may do so at this time. For possible posting and discussion by council on future agendas, the city council may not deliberate on items presented up underneath this agenda. And the first one up is Mr. Mike.
Can I come up here and give you all some of this stuff? Okay. Here's some pictures. I'm just gonna stand right here for a second to show you something. These are a couple of buildings I built. This one and these right here. You see those stores, y'all know probably where they are. I know what I'm talking about. There's a building right here behind me in there and just up there, and she says she's working on it, but I just want to. This is not just for this, it's for our hotel. I've got a couple of things we'll talk about. I got her. So this gentleman right here, he built his building initially, and then sometime he added on this little section. Oh my God. Sean, you're practically this for me. Here's what it was see, here's my building there, storage. And then sometime he added this on, which I've got some more papers that show how far the setbacks are on the property. They should be 15 foot on the side and 20 foot on the back. At some point he built this, they didn't pay any attention, it infringes to the north side. Okay, you see that right there. I want you to look at this too. I think that shouldn't be there. This is a residential neighborhood in here. This is commercial, and he's got all these cars all the time. I was actually trying to buy this from him, but I had this, and I was residential, yeah, and then I wanted to get a rezone back to commercial, and I couldn't. I tried twice, and I wasn't able to, because I was going to buy this, tear it all down, and build another one of those. Here's some more of these. It shows the setbacks. And on the back page, it shows, here's all the commercial, he's commercial, I'm not. So the problem is now, here's what's happened. He's put this building on there. You see my property lines. You see where he added on without getting a permit, without getting any inspections. And y'all probably know I build stuff. And it takes me a long time to get a permit. But we got to do it. Everybody needs to do this. Jeremiah Collins is this gentleman's name, and he didn't do any of that. Now then, Kaylee asked Veritas to go by and look at it, and I guess they said it was okay. I don't know.
It's not quite how it.
Okay, but anyway, he had it halfway up. I called Kaylee, and then in another week or so, the whole thing was built. But nonetheless, I'm not making this personal. I'm making this for our hometown. We need code enforcement. We need a building official, which I know y'all are working on all of that, but we need to get serious about it. Our town's going to grow up. It's going to turn into a Leander. If we don't get, if we're going to lose the personality of this town. And I'm actually on the EDC, and we're talking about this, and also a couple of groups I'm in, Heritage Forward, the Depot. I really want to clean the town up, but we need some help. Like with mostly code enforcement, we need to go to these folks that have got their cars parked all around like this and tell them, look, let's clean up. And I know y'all have heard me talk about Ajimoto. That building is on the square, and I wish there was something we could do. But there's a lot of things. So, y'all understand what I'm saying? So we've got some problems, and I think we all agree, and I think we need to do something to start taking care of it. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
We have a handout for council only. Is that what this is?
I haven't seen that. I assume that's a copy of our zoning ordinance.
It is.
That's what it says. Just one comment. See what that is. No comment?
Honorable, it was on the other page, Mayor, I apologize. Honorable Mayor and Councilor, John Robert McBride from Lampasas. I just wanted to be sure that you got that memorandum and didn't want any more of your time today. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mayor, can you make sure that staff receives a copy of that, please? Can you make sure that staff receives a copy of that, please?
What is it? Where?
No, Steve's saying that he emailed us something. What did you say?
I don't know what he's referring to. He said he had a memorandum. We would just like staff to receive a copy of that for records,
We don't
please.
have it in.
We don't have it here. I don't have it in my email.
When did you get the handout?
It's right there with that airport, that little memorandum.
It's on top of the, okay, I got it right there. Okay.
I can get it from you later.
Citizens comment, any citizen who desires to address the city council on a matter that is included on the agenda may do so at this time. We have none. And that will take us to the public hearing to receive citizens comment.
Mayor and council, this was denied at P&Z on Thursday. If you'll remove this from consideration. Thank you.
Move to 2.1, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of minutes on regular meeting held on July the 27th, 2026. Discussion and possible action to approve the second reading of an ordinance to modify the City of Lampasas Code of Ordinance, Chapter 82, Utilities, Article 2, Water Division 1, Generally, and Division 3, Conservation. 2.3, discussion and possible action regarding the second reading of an ordinance amending the City of Lampasas Code of Ordinance regarding appointment of alternative members for all municipal boards, commissions, and committees. 2.4, discussion and possible action regarding the second reading of an ordinance amending the City of Lampasas Code of Ordinance regarding the adoption policy providing for a reasonable limit on the amount of time to be spent without charge for repeat public information requesters as per Texas Government Code Authority.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Abstain.
3.1, upcoming special events, meetings, possible discussion by council. And I think the only one that we have right here that I know of that's posted is August 24th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. is our next city council meeting. New business, 4.1, discussion and possible action regarding approval or denial of approval modification or request to rezone from single-family residential 10, SF10 to a single-family attached with a planned development PD overlay 2.99 plus acres out of part of the LHW Johnson Survey Act Tract 419, commonly known as 1516 Lorena Road, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Mayor and council, item 4.1 and item 4.2 can be removed from consideration as it was denied at the planning and zoning meeting on Thursday. Thank you.
4.2, discussion and possible.
With that.
Oh. 4.3, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed tax rate for the city of Lampasas on all property subject to taxation within the city limits of Lampasas, Texas for 2026 tax year for the use and support of the municipal government of the city of Lampasas for the fiscal year beginning October the 1st, 2026 and ending September the 30th, 2027.
Mayor and council, the FY 27 budget proposes property tax revenue collections under the assumption that the city will collect more in tax revenues compared to last year. Attached is the tax calculation worksheet. You'll have an updated one that was added in last week for council to review as required by tax code 26.04. Senate Bill 2 requires the council to vote in favor or against a proposed tax rate, so individually for or against. The proposed tax rate will be presented for approval by ordinance in September and will be posted in the local paper and on the city website for public consideration. The no new revenue tax rate is 27.5482 cents or 0.275482 per 100, and the voter approval tax rate adjusted for sales tax and unused increment, I can explain that a little bit more in just a moment, is 0.359000 per 100. The current tax rate is 0.339999. If the proposed tax rate is higher than the no new tax rate and lower than the voter approval rate, the city must publish the notice of public hearing on tax increase that lists the names of the governing body and how each voted. The notice will specify the date and time of public hearing. If you'll recall, during our budget workshops, we talked about a tax rate of up to 39 cents. This is significantly lower than that, but we can still make everything that we discussed during our budget workshops work within this tax rate. It does use unused increments, and you guys may not be familiar with that, as the city of Lampasas has not used that before, but each year when you don't increase your tax rate, you're essentially leaving pennies on the table for your tax rate. You can bank those for 3 years, and that can be used in a calculation. It would give you a slightly higher number, or a slightly different number, than if you were just calculating a voter approval rate without the unused increments. So this is kind of going back and capturing some of that money that you've left on the table in past years. Obviously, 35.9 is lower than the 38.39 we discussed during our budget workshops.
One question I had, Ms. Harrison, is with the, I may have missed it because I apologize, I was not here last council meeting. Will that include any kind of a COLA increase for employees, or that is not including a COLA, or some form of a
It
COLA?
includes a COLA for employees that are making less than $60,000 a year. It also continues our traditional benefits coverage. Employees won't see any changes in the insurances that are provided to them. It does, if they're making more than the $60,000, because of the cost participation in those plans, their paychecks will be slightly lower because their cost of participating with that insurance is slightly higher. But the COLA only applies to those making $60,000 or less.
And that's the 359.
I'm sorry?
359 group.
No, that's the 35.9.
Yeah. 359, 35.9. Like 359.
So with this rate, this would cover the discussions we'd had on what the next budget would show, require expenditure.
Correct. It again allows no room for capital improvements. It does provide a little bit of relief to the electric fund. As we discussed during our budget sessions, potentially being necessary given some of the proposed legislation. And it does cover the 3% increase for those under 60,000. And a continuation of benefits at historic levels.
We had hoped to reduce the electric rate.
I'm sorry?
We had talked about reducing the electrical rate.
If we went to 39 cents, I would prefer not to if we're not hitting that tax rate. But that will be discussed with the fee schedule, with that approval in upcoming budget meetings.
So you're asking us to approve a tax rate of between 359,999.
That is what I'm asking, yes. No, not 3599, it's 359000. If we go above the 359000, that triggers an election. So what I would ask is that a council member make a motion for a proposed tax rate at blank, and then we will do a roll call of council members for and against.
And to be clear for the public, that's 0.02 above our current projected. Is that what I'm reading that?
Roughly, just a little under 0.02.
Yeah,
And
just barely, yeah.
so just over 4 cents of that is for our interest and sinking, so our debt service, and 31.4 cents and some change is for our maintenance and operations.
So if we go once again above the 0.35%, 0.359, then it will require.
It will require an election, so if you go 359001, it will require an election.
I understand.
So I propose tax rate at 0.359 cents per hundred of value, being the voter approval rate adjusted for unused increment revenue, it's calculated by, that's the county appraisal district.
I'll second.
Kayla, can you please call the roll call?
Hey, can I ask one more question? What does that look like, and how much do the homeowner, does that go up, or is that per thousand? Per hundred.
Average home here, 250,000.
Yeah, Yes.
So at our, sorry. Someone's probably faster with the calculator than I am right now. So currently at the 33.99, your city taxes are $849 a year. That's assuming $849 and 99 cents. That's assuming no exemptions. At the 35.9, it's $897, so a $50 increase.
But that is with the 140 homestead exemption.
That does not include any
That does not include
exemptions. It
that.
doesn't include 65 and over freeze.
So that's basically $52 for the year.
It's $50, just under $50 for the year on a $250,000 home. And when your budget comes to you for formal approval, that will be, we have to provide a form that shows what that anticipated increase has on homeowners.
Any other questions?
Councilmember Price.
Alright.
Councilmember Keel.
For
Councilmember Morris.
Four.
Mayor Pierce.
Four.
Councilmember Keeney.
Or
Councilmember Hernandez.
Nay.
Councilmember Person.
4.
Alright. Move to 4.4. Discussion of possible action concerning scheduling of one public hearing regarding the proposed tax rate upon all property subject to taxation within the city of Lampasas, Texas for 2026 tax year for the use and support of the municipal government and the city of Lampasas for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2026.
Mayor and council, this item is to schedule the public hearing for the proposed tax rate. In the past, the city of Lampasas has had a public hearing in 1 week and the adoption of the tax rate the next week. State law does not preclude you from having a public hearing and voting on the tax rate at the same council meeting, so staff is proposing September 14th, 2026 for the public hearing and vote on tax rate.
I move to schedule one public hearing on the proposed tax rate and the meeting to vote on the tax rate will be Monday, September 14th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
4.5, discussion and considering the selection of the winner of the city website photo contest entry.
Move to select entry 2.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion and possible action to approve a bid for replacement reused water pump in the amount of $23,200.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have updated quotes at your seat. There should be 2 from AAW and 1 from Smith Pump Company. We are requesting approval for the first quote that you have for the total of $25,720 due to the 8 to 12 week turnaround. With everyone else was 12 weeks or more.
What causes between two AAW, what causes Why 188, 116?
There are two different brands of pumps, just represented by one company.
Okay.
This is a budgeted item.
It is not, it's almost an emergency purchase, it doesn't quite meet the criteria for an emergency purpose or purchase, but, when they were having to haul solids from the plant early last year, I think we had to do it for a couple of months. There was a danger of having to do that if this pump is not replaced. And I think over a month and a half, that expense was $30,000.
Yes, ma'am.
At least $30,000 to manually haul the sludge for the solid waste. So generally, purchasing laws would require you to go with a low bid, but you can take the lead time into consideration on the purchase. And staff is very concerned about the pump's ability to last beyond that 3-month timeframe.
So, in short, this will save us about $5,000 this year plus consecutive years we're going to be saving money.
Yeah, just what we would save in the hauling alone for the sludge.
Make a motion to approve a bid from AAW in the amount of $25,720.
Second.
Any other discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
4.7, discussion and possible action approving the purchase of SCBA fill station for a fire department in the amount of $52,165.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This was a budgeted item for this year. I'm just needing your approval to go ahead and do this.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
You didn't even stay till they were done.
Come back up here, we do that.
Discussion and possible action for approving the transition to a VoIP phone system to replace the traditional landline service of multiple city offices and approve a 3-year contract with AT&T for hosted service in the amount of $13,003.86.
Mayor and council, you may or may not recall last year staff had come to you and kind of giving you a heads up that this project may be in the pipeline because copper phone lines are going away. And in fact, AT&T has notified us that by June of 2027, they'll no longer be allowing service on copper lines. We recently lost the phone line to the golf course, when a contractor cut the line, AT&T would replace that, so we had to transition the golf course to a VoIP system. Last year, the animal shelter, their copper lines went down and AT&T would not replace them, so they've actually been functioning on cell phones since that time. So the city has seen some savings in salary items, and while this is not a budgeted project, it was in the proposed amended budget that I brought to you a little while back, and it got tabled until we got some roof bids in and things like that. So while we have the funds, we would like to transition to the VoIP phones. It's a one-time cost of $13,003.86 with monthly recurring expenditures of $1541.86, which is a savings of about, honestly, it ranges with AT&T. I've not seen a bill lower than $1,600, and sometimes they're over $1,900 a month. So we're looking at potentially a $300 a month savings on AT&T services. And we're looking at a different system that was a little fancier than what we need, quite frankly, and this is basic and meets the city's needs. This would be a citywide replacement, so City Hall, Police Department, who else am I forgetting, Monica?
Library, animal shelter, birds. They're on site. City Hall, it's for.
Who are the comparables? Like, is AT&T our best option?
I have transitioned to VoIP in another municipality, and it costs significantly more than this. Just the phones.
There's other providers.
Just the phones alone were $55,000, with a similar monthly cost.
Do we have other quotes?
No, we solely went with this one because it is a DIR contract, so the state has approved them as a low bid. We could explore other options if council would prefer us to do that.
Is that, Monica, does that require anything as far as IT, any increase or any memory, anything like that with the system?
So it would be voice over internet, so it would integrate into our network, but we have plenty of bandwidth for that now.
Okay.
We have a dedicated circuit, fiber circuit, it's not gonna affect, our network in any way.
Okay.
We did look, like, Ms. Harrison said, we did look at another solution provided by AT&T, and that was called Office Admin. And I believe that it was more expensive than
It was at least twice the price, if I recall, and last year when we started looking at this, I had the company that did our transition to Brady to VoIP lines look at the pricing, and they came in at about $36,000 to transition, excluding the monthly costs.
And any of the solutions that is out there, we don't need those services, we just need a basic VoIP system. So, I think that those higher price points are, it's probably features we're not gonna use or utilize. So to me, in my opinion, this is basic VoIP services, and it would be an easier transition to go from our current AT&T to the AT&T product. But we have demoed both of their products.
We're transitioning to phone system with multiple city offices, their AT&T's HDS system, and a 3-year contract for hosted services.
Any other discussion? I guess we have the cost above there, when you put that in motion or no?
No, not for the.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
City Council of the City of Lampasas will meet closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code as follows. We're going to strike off 5.1 and 5.3. Just go with 5.2, section 551.07 personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment for duties of a public officer or employee, city manager, and other personnel matters as allowed by Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Get a motion to adjourn the executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's go to another executive session tonight. Get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?